Man, it is hot in here. Why am I itchy all of a sudden? Oh God! What could all this possibly mean? Oh shit.
Welcome prime time, bitch!
Freddy Krueger? Wait, why do you look like me? And why are you not burnt? And why don't you have the razor glove?
Let's just say the glove wasn't in the budget for this time.
What do you want from me?
Don't you see? I've been playing a little game with you. I had my associate, will it say, send you the Friday game on NES. And then once you were in your dreams, that's when I took charge and had you review Nightmare on Elm Street. But now, it's time for you to finish your due diligence and review this movie for me.
So it was you that sent me the game? Both of them? And the movie? Just so you can get me to make videos on them?
Well, I can't exactly take all the credit. And the associate in question is somebody that you're very familiar with.
Well, I'm not doing this shit anymore. I've done both games. I've done what you want. Just let me go.
Fine. If you don't want to play it that way, that's your bad. Because we have some plans for you.
What do you mean, we?
Oh, you'll be catching him soon enough. Just do me a favor, and don't go out the door.
Well, before I start, I figured, just give me 1 second and I'll...
You know what you have to do, kid. Review this, or it's nap time permanently.
Son of a fuck! How's it going, everyone? And welcome back. So it seems like I got a gift from hell, and the only way to end things is to talk about this movie, so... let's dive in, shall we?
Man, what a concept, huh? In a time now where crossovers are pretty much expected, this was something that fans thought they were never going to see. Now granted, we did have crossovers before this, like Frankenstein meets the Wolfman and King Kong vs. Godzilla, but I would go as far to say that this revolutionized all crossovers to come, and that became apparent the year later with AVP. As for the event today, this was a whole history by itself to get this one off the ground. The idea of this goes all the way back to the late 80s, but because Paramount and New Line couldn't come up with an agreement, it was scrapped. After Jason Takes Manhattan flopped and the character was sold to the house that Freddy built, they finally got the train moving again, and Jason Goes to Hell being the setup for it. Hell was right, as the film made its way into development hell with more than 18 drafts before they found a premise that worked.
If you're wondering why films like Jason X were made, well, it's probably because they were buying their time delaying this.
Some of these ideas involved a Freddy cult, having Freddy as a camp counselor who killed Jason, Jason being put on trial, and even a boxing ring in hell with Hitler having a front row seat. It wasn't until Mark Swift and Damian Shannon finally delivered a successful pitch in March 2002, nearly 10 years after Jason Goes to Hell. Jesus! In the director's seat is Ronnie Yu, who was hot off making Bride of Chucky, and I guess New Line decided he was the best pick for this. Filming began on September 9th, 2002, hey, my birthday, and fans were not happy to hear that Kane Hodder would not be returning for Jason, but instead with Canadian stuntman Ken Kersinger. Kane had been lobbying to get this film made, so the fact that he didn't even get a call is sad to me. I imagine his reaction and the fans too going something like this. The hype for this film was immense. So much so that they held a weigh-in a month before the film's release and hosted by Michael Buffer, which is insane to me. The movie slashed into theaters August 15, 2003, garnering positive reception and gathering over $100 million in the box office on a $30 million budget, becoming the highest grossing movie of both respective franchises. This is a movie that I have watched and loved ever since I was a kid and scared of both of these guys. I don't know why I watched this and not the other movies, but it's something that has lived in the back of my head, and now it's time to take a critical look at this. Team Freddy or Team Jason? Place your bets.
With all that covered, let's finally see who comes out on top and dive straight into the movie.
Now we have a scary New Line logo. We begin this movie with some narration by Freddy, played for the last time by Robert Englund, going over the glory days before being burned to death. Next we get a montage of kills from the other movies, with Freddy telling us he has been forgotten by the residents of Springwood. But Fred's got an ace up his sleeve with Jason Voorhees, who ends up killing a random girl with giant tits.
Man, nothing like fake breasts to start our story.
Turns out this was a dream, and not Betsy Palmer shows up to tell him that he needs to go to Elm Street and teach the kids a lesson. Unsurprisingly, it was Freddy in disguise, and we get the most 2000s title card imaginable. Jason makes it there in a short amount of time, somehow, and this is where we meet our teen characters for this movie. First we have Laurie, played by Monica Keena, her best friend Kia, played by Kelly Rowland, and Gib, played by Catherine Isabel, and who cares about her, she's gonna die anyway. We also meet Trey, who is a complete asshole and gets what's coming to him.
Nice one, Jason.
Anyway, the police show up and think that Fred had something to do with this, and this has Laurie dreaming about him in the police station. Literally.
Trying to get a little Monica Keena at you, if you catch my drift.
There's a scene with Trey's best friend Blake, who graduated from the Nick Cage School of Acting, where he gets spooked by Freddy, finds his dad Alex Jones without a head before ultimately getting slashed off screen. We cut to the mental hospital where we meet Laurie's boyfriend Will, played by Jason Ritter, and his friend Mark, played by Brendan Fletcher. They see a news report about what happened at the house, and with the power of butt cheeks, they somehow get the keys and break out to go see if she's alright. We get some nothing scenes involving orange juice and best friends chatting it up. That is until Mark shows up, scaring the shit out of Laurie and spreading the word of Freddy, with her passing out from seeing Will. There's also an awful jump scare with one of the oldest magic tricks in the book.
Got your nose!
She shouldn't have her nose, but let me guess, you weren't powerful enough, huh?
That's technically true, but the plot wouldn't let me off the leash just yet.
Mark and Will find out that every bit of info on Freddy has been wiped, and Mark regrets what happened earlier, so nice going, jackass. We arrive to a rave in a cornfield where a kid named Linderman stands up to Kia, and Gib decides to wander off, which sends her to the boiler room. Right before Krueger can deliver the final blow, Jason steals the kill and stops a potential rape in the progress. Freddy isn't happy about that.
She's mine! Mine! Mine!
Okay, had to make a quick editor's note, but I was referring to the kill. The kill he's mad about him stealing, not the rape. Freddy doesn't do that kind of thing in this series.
Sure, that's what you meant.
Next, we twist some heads, see an awesome fire stunt, and watch Jason fucking make a killing at the party. The kids manage to get away, and now we're joined by Discount Jason Mewes. We cut back to Mark where he falls asleep and gets to see his brother, and has to pass on a message from Freddy.
Pass on a little message for me, will ya?
How subtle.
Hey, he didn't have it all bad. He started in that shitty Leprechaun Origins movie, though.
During a group huddle, an officer by the name of Stubbs joins in and fills the group on Jason's backstory, and Laurie falls asleep to make out with her dad. Gross. She pulls out Freddy's ear, and after looking up Hypnocil on the web, they hatch a plan to break into the sanatorium to steal their supply to keep themselves awake. Obviously things go horrible fast, with Stubbs dying and the stoner getting taken over by Freddy Worm. All the pills go down the drain, but Jay manages to take Jason down with tranquilizer before getting sliced in half. We finally arrive to the first fight between the two titans in the dream world, and even though it's completely ridiculous, it's fun to watch. Seeing Freddy play pinball with Jason is something I never thought I would find amusing, and I love Freddy trying every possible way to kill Jason with none of it working. But during the fight, this is where we find out that Jason is afraid of... water?
Really, man? Water?
I don't need to explain why this is horrible, do I? You're telling me, Jason Voorhees, the man who came back from the dead multiple times, survived in New York, body swapping and fucking outer space, is hydrophobic? Who also swam just fine before, but now all of a sudden is afraid of a little splash? This guy survived stabs, bullets, being electrocuted, set on fire, hit with paintballs, and dealing with telekinesis, but no, a sprinkler can make him cower like a little bitch? I would understand if this was part 2 and he learned to overcome it. But not movie fucking 11. I know you need some type of weakness for him, but this is not the way to go here. Hell, bring back the Necronomicon and do some bullshit with that.
Okay, gotta remain calm. But you're still on my shit list, mister.
So somehow those dumbasses manage to haul Jason's big ass into the van, and they have the great idea to put Laurie under with drugs to pull Freddy from the dream world. Shit hits the fan quick as Jason wakes up and causes the van to crash. They make it to Crystal Lake miraculously and drag Laurie's body to the cabin, with Jason not far behind. Meanwhile, in the dream world, Laurie saves Jason and learns the truth of what happened to her mother. So earlier in the movie, Will believes he saw Laurie's father murder her mother, and that had him committed to the hospital. Turns out it was Freddy, of course, so it really isn't that big of a surprise. Anyway, stuff happens to where the cabin catches fire, with that being the ticket Laurie needed to get Freddy into the real world. Now it's time for round 2 against the slashers, and it's great. We have some nice swings and dodges, Jason having balls of steel, and Freddy just being ran through dozens of windows. It's a fun little bout that has some great moments, but it gets ruined by Linderman dying from some wall spike. Freddy catches up with Laurie and Will, but Kia intervenes and... this happens.
How sweet. Dark meat.
Now, come on, it was a different time. Give me some slack.
Kelly Rowland decides to just insult the guy before she gets what she deserves by Jason. We have made it to round 3, and it is pure insanity. We start with some stabs and slashes from both, with even some WWE moves by Freddy. Jason has enough and launches him over to some gas canisters, which he uses as torpedoes. One of them flies Jason to a construction site, and after being stabbed by rebar, he is beat repeatedly by a cement mixer swinging around. Freddy tries using a cart, but it gets stuck eventually, with his foot getting stuck in the mixer and being pulled down to the ground for more slashing. The cart sends both of them to a dock, and Jason seems to have the upper hand before Freddy cuts off his fingers and uses his machete against him. Freddy then stabs Jason in the eyes, while meanwhile Laurie and Will cover the dock in propane tanks and gas before they light that bitch up. Next, Jason plunges his hand into Freddy's hip and rips his arm off, but not before Freddy stabs him with the machete, and the explosion sends both of them into the lake. Good Lord. It is an amazing final battle packed with buckets of blood, and I can't help but rewatch it over and over and over again. Is it corny? Yes. Is some of it nonsensical? Absolutely. But you can't tell me none of it wasn't worth waiting 10 years to finally experience. I only wish I got to see this unfold on the big screen back in 2003 like everyone else did. Anyway, back to the plot. It seemed like Freddy came out on top, but Jason fucking stabs him with his razor glove before Laurie lands the final blow, cutting the fucker's head. Freddy is finally dead, Jason drifts off in the water, and Laurie and Will escape never to be seen again. We ain't done yet as Jason rises from the water holding Freddy's head as a trophy, but the bastard gives a sly wink to the audience, cutting to black and ending the movie.
That was totally wicked!
Wow. Just wow. What a roller coaster of a plot, but this is an insanely fun one to experience. I think it did the two slashers justice, but it's not perfect and I'll get to that here soon. Starting with the positives, I like the premise a lot. Having Freddy bring Jason back from the dead to murder the Elm Street kids to instill fear is a neat idea and a good way to bring these two Goliaths together. One problem I have is that for a crossover, it feels more like a nightmare movie that just has Jason there. I know they probably couldn't use much of the lore from the Paramount era, but they could have found some workarounds and add to the Jason story for this movie. Another thing that bothers me is that Freddy gets very little when it comes to kills. He had 2 opportunities, but Jason took those from him, and that's just a shame. The only person he actually kills is Mark, and it's a poor showcase as opposed to the 17 from Jason. In general, the story is a fun time. They managed to respect both icons with their backstories, and they had a clever way of bringing them together. The biggest thing going against the movie is everything that wasn't Freddy or Jason. I'll talk more about this soon, but the teen characters just detract from the experience. From them being uninteresting or the mediocre acting on display, it's just a shame and a disservice to the great horror protagonists of the early years.
Alright, let's move on to the other stuff.
Let's start with the cast, and I'm getting the teens out of the way first. They're all the standard horror character tropes, and they do nothing interesting with any of them. You got the ditzy final girl and her stupid boy toy, the best friend who's kind of a bitch and caring somewhat, and the other one who's just gonna die regardless, the knowledgeable one about the killer, the nerd, the stoner, and I don't care about any of them. I don't care about Laurie and Will's relationship, Kia and Linderman growing to like each other, and none of it matters to me. The only character I actually liked was Stubbs, and even he isn't that special and is only in the movie for a few moments. In general, anything that wasn't Freddy or Jason was just a chore to stomach, so let's talk about the real stars here. Robert Englund is great as always, and for his final film performance, he ended it with a bang. It feels like a return to form, feeling a lot closer to parts 1 and 3, while also having some of the wackiness from the later entries. Not all of his jokes land for me, but in general this feels much closer to how I imagine Freddy to be. Ken Kersinger does a pretty good job as Jason. Granted, he'll never live up to the rage-fueled, calculated Kane Hodder, but what we have is a fine depiction. He is a bit of a slow walker, but has a mean swing with that machete. You can see his eyes a bunch, which is something Ronnie Yu wanted, and I can understand why, so we the audience can feel for him, but I don't think it works as well. Gotta say I like the height difference between our 2 slasher leads, but in conclusion I like Ken as Jason. Fight scenes... do I even need to say anything? At least we got some great kills like with Trey at the very beginning of the movie. Stunts were great like with the cornfield fire, but did they really need an excessive amount of people flying through the air? At least this one at the lake is pretty cool. Makeup is pretty great overall for both leads. I mean, look at this awesome Demon Freddy design. Pure nightmare fuel.
How appropriate. Not bad, Kruger.
Call it a little party trick.
The tone is pretty consistent across the board, but it has that early 2000s cynicism which brings a very cruel nature, mostly for the teens. Also, the sarcasm gets old. Fast. Special effects are... well... the practical stuff is great, but the CGI can be iffy in certain points. Fucking Freddy Worm piece of shit. One thing I cannot stand is the choppy editing. It isn't a style choice, it's just ridiculous and is everywhere across the whole fucking movie. Newsflash to all the editors, choppy slow-mo doesn't improve your product, it just makes the scene look ridiculous and out of place with everything else. Pacing is also lightning fast, and I was shocked learning that this movie was only an hour and 40 minutes max. I thought for a crossover they would have had more runtime, but I guess not. Music is fine. Didn't really get too much of it aside from the battle music and the ending walk. Don't really have a favorite piece in mind, but the metal is more funny than imposing. Visually, this movie looks fucking awesome. I love that whenever we see Freddy, it has a deep red background, and for Jason, a nice cool blue. Ronnie, you wanted this to look like a comic book, and it paid off, I think. Not this kind of comic book. I'll save my thoughts on this next year.
I really don't have much to go over, so let's get into my final thoughts.
Freddy vs. Jason is a blood-soaked thrill ride that does the slashers justice, but everything surrounding them doesn't fare much better. I'm not a fan of the teen cast and the stupid editing throughout, but I feel like Freddy and Jason both are good and respected in their stories. Mostly. I like the premise to bring them together, the reasons for them to end up fighting, and I can't praise the fights enough whether how ridiculous they are. It's a well-done clash between monsters, and it's still a movie I love coming back to even when there are better films in the genre. Regardless of its issues, it will forever be a movie I will always come back to, and it's probably one of my favorite movies ever made. This was one hell of a way to close out Halloween.
Oh wait, I just realized this is my dream. So, I guess there's only one thing to do.
What are you talking about?
I decided to bring in my little friend here.
This is my world, don't you remember? You are my toy to play with.
I can do anything I want. Even then, you said it yourself, so time to send them both back to oblivion.
No!
Well, glad those two douchebags are gone. No! It's just a nightmare. Okay. Feels like I've been asleep for months. I mean, one night you fall asleep, it's June, and then the next you wake up, and it feels like it's October, so that's weird. Well, at least I got to keep a little souvenir. So. I'm just glad the nightmare's over and I don't have to deal with. hopefully the next person that decides to invade my personal space isn't a masked killer of sort, but we'll just have to see.